Hey Bulldog fans, welcome to this edition of Signing Day Central presented by Origin Bank, and I'm now joined by golf head coach Matt Terry. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks, glad to be here, Ken.
So 8 days ago, you announced the signing of one player to your recruiting class. So I guess first off, since you only signed one, I imagine you had to be pretty picky and specific. What exactly were you looking for in a golfer to sign for this next class?
The biggest thing with us right now in year 4 is just having the right fit for our program. Grant's a wonderful man, great young man. He's great in the classroom, great ball striker. He's got a few things, we've got to get better at with his short game, but he just fits, what we needed. With a young man with COVID and everything else, we kind of backed off. It was going to be a bigger signing class, but with the ability of bringing some guys back, it just provided the perfect opportunity for him to be our one guy.
Yeah, and you only have 2 seniors, the Murphy brothers. So looking at the roster as a whole, how do you see it forming for next year?
Well, they'll both come back. They both got that extra COVID year, and that's where it came from. Was those 2 guys that they've got that extra year to continue to develop because they both want to play at the next level, and there's really not a lot of places to play for them, because everybody in the country is going through the same thing. So, with the way the PGA Tour and Korn Ferry and everything's backed off with their spots, there's not a lot of places for them to play. So them coming back here is a natural fit, getting 2 more years of experience. 1 more year of experience with us. That's just huge. That's huge for all, all intents and purposes, having mature players that are 22 years old, and instead of a 17, 18-year-old coming in. It's pretty good for a coach.
Yep. And Grant Smith from Montgomery, Alabama. You know a little bit about the state of Alabama.
Yeah. We've done a pretty good job. I feel like getting the best player we can to fit here out of there. I've known Grant. He works with one of my former players on his golf swing, so I've known him for probably 3.5 years, knowing who he was, and it was a natural fit for him. His dad went to Neville, and he's got an aunt and uncle that live in Monroe, so it was just a natural fit for him to turn down some other offers to be here.
Yeah. Has he been able to compete recently at all? And if so, how has he fared?
He played a tournament, the Elite Amateur, which is in South Carolina, and he played pretty good. He didn't have a good final round. He was in the top, I think, 6 or 7, and some of the best juniors in the country were playing there. So he is one that's gaining more and more experience. He's mainly a guy that's played a lot of high school golf, that's kind of focused on that and focused on his studies and everything else. But he as he continues to expand, you'll see, just how good he is.
Yeah. And of course, you being a native Alabama, I'm sure you know every square foot of that state, from Mobile to Huntsville to Montgomery, where Grant's from. So what is it about the state of Alabama and golf?
Well, it's we in this state in Louisiana, we're getting there. We're getting to that point where Alabama's not one of the top states in the country. You've got your California, Texas, Florida,
sure,
Georgia. Those are kind of your main states with bringing out junior golfers, but Alabama's pretty close, and they've got a lot of pretty good players. They every year there'll be an elite player that comes out of there that is kind of you think a sure thing for the PGA Tour, kind of like this state when we had Philip Barbary and Sam Burns come out of this state that were kind of those guys that are going to be stud players, but we just didn't have that bulk of pretty good players for the amount of Division I schools we have playing golf in the state. And now I feel like this next class coming up, we're gonna start seeing that. And right now, for me, dipping back into Alabama, getting a player or 2 here or there has been really good, and now we can focus on East Texas and southern Arkansas and Louisiana. So
I know you're looking forward to Grant getting here next year, but you were able to compete in a few tournaments this fall, and then you'll be back in action in the spring. What did you see from your roster and your team this fall to spring forward you into spring action?
I was excited we got to play. I'm really thankful because I know a lot of my friends didn't even get to peg it. They didn't get to put the peg in the ground and play. And for us, getting just to play 3 tournaments, even though we weren't very pleased with where we finished in those events, we came out of the fall with the best stroke average we've had at this university. 288. Some guys played, had some flashes of really good. We almost broke our school record twice. But we've got to get more consistent. And I think a lot of that, they put a lot of pressure on themselves to play well because they don't have very many times to do it.
Sure.
Because you don't know when you're going to get pulled out with COVID. You don't know, what things are going to happen. So they're out there almost a little too tense, almost too ready to go. Pressing a little bit. That's exactly right. And they don't, it's really hard to explain just to go play. Let all that talent hang out and let loose. And I know other teams are probably going to experience that. Football may have experienced it so far, and I could see as we get into basketball the same thing where guys, they don't know if they're going to play the next game because of COVID. That team or our team may do that, but hopefully this little break, we've had some good meetings, good talks, and the guys understand what we're making mistakes on, that they know 90% of the time it's been good, but it's that 10% that just kills us in golf because you just can't make too many mistakes, or it just has a big effect on your round.
Well, I know you've seen the potential of what this team can do. You look at the Jim Rivers, the home Invitational, and what they were able to do in that final round. So you see what they're capable of.
Yeah, it is. And what's funny is they threw away a lot of shots in that round of golf. And we met about it when it was over with, and we did the same thing at in Little Rock, our final tournament in the second round. We threw away shots. We had somebody shoot 65 that he pressed the gas pedal a little early, trying to really go low, and he made some mistakes early and still shot 7 under. And but he got hot at the end of the round, and it's kind of a hard thing to teach, especially young players, is being patient. Waiting on that time to happen, waiting on your time, the streak to happen, and it'll happen longer, and it'll come if you're just patient and you work for it.
Yep. Well, thanks for joining us. I know we're looking forward to seeing you and the Bulldogs back on the golf course next spring.
Awesome. Thanks, Kane. I appreciate it.
Thanks.